There's a giant alligator loose in the sewers, munching away on the people of Chicago and causing lots of havoc. Released in 1980, this awesome horror schlockfest that is Alligator shows what happens when a little girl's baby alligator pet gets flushed down a toilet and then feeds on dead animals that have been dumped in the sewers after being experimented on with growth formula. You get a very angry and very hungry alligator who is ready to cause as much carnage as possible. Local cop David Madison, played by Robert Forster, gets in on the case to try and uncover the strange happenings, where he believes a giant reptilian monster is loose in the city's underground. But of course no one believes him, where he must convince everyone that a monster is on the loose before real chaos gets unleashed. So today we are going to explore this often forgotten, often cheesy, but always fun alligator monster movie by sinking our teeth into 10 things that you didn't know about Alligator. So let's check it out. Number 10. Joe Dante was offered to direct. Giving that Alligator is a fun, cheesy schlockfest that pokes fun at the new underwater creature monster movie craze of that time, which was started by Jaws, it should come as no surprise that Gremlins and Inner Space director Joe Dante was originally approached to direct Alligator. After all, 2 years earlier in 1978, Dante directed fellow Jaws spoof, Piranha, which was also written by John Sayles, who also wrote the script for Alligator. So the two already had something of a previous working relationship. However, Dante turned down directing Alligator and went on to direct The Howling instead, so Louis Teague was brought on board to direct Alligator. Teague would go on to direct the Stephen King movies Cujo and Cat's Eye, as well as The Jewel of the Nile and Navy SEALs, among many others. Number 9. James Horner was going to compose Alligator. So not only was Alligator originally intended for Joe Dante to direct, but acclaimed movie scoring composer James Horner was going to score the music for Alligator. Horner needs no introduction. His scores are always filled with heart and excitement, and in the early 80s his career was really taking off thanks to composing Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, Kroll and 48 Hours. So Alligator would have been at a time when he was just about to peak. But regardless, Horner wrote a score for Alligator but couldn't actually compose it due to a strike, so his talents couldn't be used. So instead, Craig Huxley created the music for Alligator, to which he gives the movie a sort of old school horror grindhouse sound. But hey, it goes with the movie's cheesiness. Huxley would go on to do piano work for movie themes such as E.T. the Extraterrestrial, The Color Purple, and Dead Poets Society, so clearly he's a very talented musician with an accomplished career. Number 8. Robert Forster's Well-Being. In Alligator, acclaimed actor Robert Forster plays the no-nonsense cop David, the first person who detects that there is something strange in the neighborhood, or at least under it. To which he manages to play the part with lots of charm and charisma, while also being rough around the edges and relatable. What makes his part really appreciated is when filming started for Alligator, Forster was still overcoming spinal meningitis, so considering he was probably still weak and sick is a credit to his performance. In fact, because he was not in the best of health at the time, maybe even rubbed off on his character a bit and helped with his no-nonsense demeanour. Not only that, but Forster would improvise his lines while filming Alligator, particularly his jokes about his receding hairline. Scriptwriter John Sayles was so happy with the jokes he even wrote them into the script. By the way, when Robert Forster would go on to star in Jackie Brown, his hairline had miraculously filled out and thickened up. Must be one of those things, I guess. But hey, look, I can't talk coming from a bald guy here. Number 7. Made as a satire of Jaws. When Jaws came out 5 years earlier in 1975, not only did it change the world of cinema as we know it, but brought an onslaught of water creature movies. some of which were blatant Jaws copies, while some of them saw other sea monsters on murderous rampages, including piranhas, orca whales, and an octopus. Heck, it got so ridiculous even the sand on the beach was starting to kill people. Alligator is something of a self-aware satire on the Jaws formula, which in the late 70s and early 80s became its own genre. Alligator even follows the Jaws template, as it follows a cop who can sense a water monster is lurking but no one believes him, a scientific specialist who is an expert on said creature, and an old school hunter who eventually meets his maker. And it even features a dodgy mayor. And interesting enough, Alligator also features a meddling reporter, who although wasn't in the Jaws movie, was still in the Jaws book.
It's a shame we never got a spin-off with Jaws versus Alligator.
Number 6. Fate of the Alligator. Speaking of Jaws, just as with Bruce, the mechanical shark used for Jaws, the mechanical alligator used for Alligator kept malfunctioning and was often difficult to work with. Unlike Jaws though, the alligator actually had an on-screen name, that being Ramon, which is supposedly named after the painter Ramon Santiago, because Lord knows, you think beautiful surreal paintings and you think giant killer alligator. The famous scene where we see Ramon the alligator rip through the underground was filmed with some shots featuring the mechanical alligator, while other shots used a real alligator on miniature sets. After filming the movie, Ramon the technical reptile beast was donated to the Florida's Gators football team to be used as a team mascot.
I guess that by the time the production on Alligator finished, the crew had no intentions for a sequel and got rid of the alligator prop. But that didn't stop a sequel from happening though.
Number 5. Straight-to-video sequel. So in 1991 there was a straight-to-video sequel called Alligator 2: The Mutation, which once again sees a giant-sized alligator with a terrifying appetite rise from the sewers and attack the city, namely attacking a carnival attraction park. And just like the original, it sees a cop who can tell that a terrifying set of teeth has its clutches in on the city, with no one believing him, where he must battle dodgy politicians, because hey, it's an underwater monster movie. Dodgy politicians was a must at this point. The sequel took itself a little too seriously compared to the original, which was more self-aware, with its focus being a fun ride cheesy monster movie. And because of this, the sequel loses a lot of charm and wit that the original had going, as if the original Alligator knew it was all a joke, whereas Alligator 2 didn't understand the joke or get the joke, and thus the whole purpose of the original Alligator got lost in translation. It's not a bad film, but just watch it as its own thing and not a sequel. Number 4. Terror of the SWAT Team. There is a scene in Alligator where the services of a SWAT team are used in an attempt to confront the alligator at a sewer entrance. However, while filming this scene, real terror actually occurred, as many of the observing locals who saw the scene being shot thought that the SWAT standoff was real and that there was some kind of real terrorism crisis taking place. I mean, I guess you can't blame them. They weren't to know that all these SWAT officers were just movie extras in costume. Some worried locals even called the police wanting to know what was going on, or if it was safe to be nearby, or if they should evacuate. But thankfully there was no real life crisis taking place, and that it was all just part of filming an alligator monster movie. Number 3. The E.T. Connection. As mentioned, Alligator's screenplay was written by John Sayles, and at the time of writing Alligator, Sayles wrote 2 other movies. One was the space adventure Star Wars inspired Battle Beyond the Stars, and the other was a draft for a movie called Night Skies, which was to be directed by Steven Spielberg, about a terrifying alien attack, along with special makeup effects extraordinaire Rick Baker being hired to create alien creature effects for the movie. But as fate would have it, Night Skies didn't end up getting made, but instead the project evolved into the more warm-hearted E.T. the Extraterrestrial. However, in a weird twist, Alligator is somewhat referenced in E.T., in the scene where Elliot is sure that he saw an alien creature, with his older brother taunting him that they may have just been alligators in the sewers, aka the plot of Alligator.
You know how they say there are alligators in the sewers?
Alligators in the sewers.
Who knows, maybe that line was a trace of Sayles' original Night Skies script, making it into the finished E.T. one.
Number 2. Board Game. Yeah, as strange as it is, Alligator actually spawned a board game where kids who were no doubt too young to see the movie can get close to the terrifying jaws of the alligator. The rules are relatively simple. Gamers take turn in using the spinning chart, and depending on the instruction the chart spins on, they either have to place or remove items from the alligator's open mouth. But while doing so, if the mouth shuts closed, then it's game over for said player. It doesn't really have much to do with the movie, however it uses the same logo on the box art seen on Alligator's movie poster, along with the sewer illustration. However, for the game, the alligator has left the sewer and looking slightly more happy and animated. Number 1. The original script was going to feature a more boozed up alligator. The original script for Alligator was going to be set in Milwaukee, with an underground alligator terrorizing the city who keeps getting bigger and growing in size due to drinking beer via beer leaking from above ground breweries. Yep, originally he wasn't enhanced by science but was just all drunk from beer, acting like that drunk friend who can't handle their alcohol and wants to fight everyone. I don't know why, but I love the idea of a drunk alligator going on a drunken rampage, just simply because it consumed too much beer. It definitely would have taken Alligator down a more comedic road rather than a more subtle one. However, writer John Sayles felt that the drunk alligator probably wouldn't pose that much of a threat, as he probably would have been more groggy, disorientated, and hungover rather than terrifying, so the idea was scrapped, to which Sayles reworked the script to the alligator increasing in size due to feeding on genetically enhanced animals that had been dumped in the sewer. Which, let's face it, sounds more menacing than an alligator who looked like he just had too much fun in Vegas.
As I've said with many other films I've talked about, Alligator isn't a masterpiece, but it's a fun movie, and definitely one of the best Jaws-inspired underwater monster movies. So I say check it out. It's just a piece of pop culture fun, not to be taken seriously, with its sole purpose purely to entertain. Anyway, I'm Minty, and someone out there, please make a movie about the original script with a drunk alligator. It'll be hilarious. See ya!